Hi, Sophie. Thanks for helping my project. Could you say a little bit about yourself?
Yeah. Hi, I'm Sophie. I live in Austin, Texas, and I've always been really interested in space just as a hobby. I work with plants, so you could kind of see the correlation. My hands are in the earth, but my mind is in the sky.
That's awesome. Sort of like the atmosphere. It's like touches the ground and goes all the way up to space too.
You know it.
So what got you interested in space?
Well, I guess just well, at first I was really interested, I still am interested in the ocean. I'm just fascinated by what we don't know and how much of it we don't know. So for years, I just was really into the deep ocean. And then I realized, wait a second, there's a whole other, world to study. So yeah, kind of that.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, even like the subatomic all the way up to, galaxies. There's just so much to learn.
Yeah, yeah.
Did you know that NASA's planning to send astronauts back to the moon?
I didn't know that actually. I know there's been a lot of talks of you know, people going up to space and Mars, but I have not really been in the know of what's going on with the moon. And I love the moon, so that's exciting.
With the Apollo program between 1969 and 1972, we had 12 people walk on the moon. They were all Americans. They were all white men. With this going back to the moon, we're going to have the first woman on the moon. And I was just wondering what you think about that.
That's so awesome and overdue. But I'm really excited. I mean, I think that when that becomes the norm and the mainstream, we all kind of as individuals, like maybe we don't marginalize women in our lives, but in STEM programs, like I know it can be a bit tougher in those roles. So for that to be part of NASA's history, I think is going to change a lot about the future.
Um, Talking about the future, when you think out like 200 years into the future, what does it look like to you?
I Well, lately I've been wondering what it looks like to them if there's life out there. So I think I've heard we're getting kind of maybe close if that's true. And so I wonder if like communications as our travel into space is able to expand. I mean, putting more men and women on the moon. If there is life out there, I wonder if in 200 years, we'd be noticed. So that I kind of think communication, if life exists outside of Earth, would happen. I mean, also with the James Webb Telescope just recently, anything is possible. I That's my background on my phone actually is the James.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah. So I guess just further research, like farther and sound. Maybe we can get sound if there is sound anywhere.
I I mean, uh, having some type of conversation with another civilization would be amazing, but I wonder how they would look at us. Would they look at us as, some type of backwards people that, you know,
How do
not
we look
really
at them?
considered, or would they look at us as equals, or would they look at us as like special and need to be protected? How do you think they would look at us?
Well, I think it would be turning the lens inward. How let's say this does exist and it's out there somewhere, whether or not it knows about us. I mean, when we do make that contact, whether it's their first time, experiencing any life outside of their own civilization, how would they look at us? Or yeah, how would they look at us? But also, how do we look at them? Like, are they foreign? They're foreign, but like, would they be scary? I guess so. So I guess how we look at them, I'd be open to it. So hopefully they would have that kind of same response. It depends on how old they are, though.
Hmm. I wonder. But in terms of humans, 200 years from now, do you think we're all still living on the Earth, or do you think we become multiplanetary and spacefaring, and where have people that maybe have never ever gone to the Earth at all?
Oh, this is like a Ray Bradbury novel. Gosh, that's a cool question. Well, no, I don't know that we would live there. I wonder if it's like new and so people kind of we're really curious about it, we're excited about it, but if it became like the norm and we could start, moving to other planets, I wonder if people would just be like, I prefer it here on Earth. I like the ocean. Um so I don't think we would live on other planets necessarily, but would we start building on them? Maybe.
Would you take a trip to space if you could?
Yeah, yeah, because where I really want to go is to the bottom of the ocean. And if someone asked me that, question, like if you could go to the bottom, would you? No. But if I could go to space, I'd rather, yeah, I'd go to space.
How far would you go? Just to orbit? Would you go to the moon? Would you immigrate to Mars?
Huh. I love thinking about this question practically because like NASA is asking me.
Well,
I
just Nathan's asking you.
I
It's
know, but
completely a personal project, so.
yeah, that's funny. Well, Nathan, I don't know that I would live or I don't know that I'd want to go all the way to Mars because I've seen the pictures and some of the videos and it looks dry. I guess it would depend. How do we acclimate when we get there? Because I could barely go to Alaska without having to rest for 2 days. So I I don't know. I don't think I would though. I like the Earth. I actually for our Green Steps meeting today, I wore my Good Morning Earth
Oh, good
uh,
morning, Earth.
sweatshirt. Yeah. So I love the Earth. And you know, I mean, there would be a lot to miss. What about our pet, animals and birds in the morning?
What if we brought all those with us? Like interplanetary Noah's Ark type of situation.
I guess like what would that? It's funny because I spend a lot of time kind of contemplating this hypothetical questions, but you know the aesthetic and like atmosphere and environment, everything would be kind of different, right? Because let's say you are in the proximity of like radiation or something, it changes the structural level of the object. So I think it would change everything inevitably to have it on a different planet and a different atmosphere. But if we had all those things, I would probably do.
Yeah, I often think people that live in like Las Vegas, for example, when it was just like desert,
Yeah.
and now people intentionally fly there.
Yeah, yeah, that's funny. Yeah. Would you?
I've been waffling on that question. Some days, yes, I would go. Some days I go to Mars, and other days I'm like, maybe I'm not ready for it. Uh, so I don't know. I had the same trouble with the roller coasters at amusement parks. At the
Yeah.
end of the line, I'm like really excited about it, and then as I get closer and closer, I get nervous, and sometimes I just have to say, "Oh, y'all have fun. I'll hold your bags."
Yeah, exactly. That's a good way to put it.
So, can you imagine being a high schooler in a history class 200 years from now doing a project on the 2020s? Now, we're not even halfway through the 2020s yet, so this could be a completely open ended question. What do you imagine or hope that high schooler could write about this decade?
You know, it's actually I just saw a video of kids in the 1950s. They were like I think 13 in the 1950s asked that same question. What do you
Mhm.
think, the 2000s will look like? And there were some pretty spot on answers. And it revolved a lot around technology, but some of the kids offered perspectives on how we'll make food and how it'll change like our social structures. So if they were asked 100 years ago about us now, is that the question? If in 100 years,
Or 200 years, but 100 years is good too. That's probably transformational enough.
um, gosh, I mean, we really have so much information available to us right now, and we can share it so quickly. So, you know, they'll have all of that and have innovated what we've done now, which could be the same, as the kids in the 50s saying this about us now. So I think based on the trends of how quickly we have advanced I mean, it's exponential, our knowledge. I mean, heck, we're on Mars, can't imagine, uh, what that would look like for them. So they'll probably be impressed by what we've done in the digital age, but also have a little bit of a study on all of the aspects of that, not just for the betterment of science and technology.
I was just thinking about 100 years ago, the microwave didn't exist. And,
Exactly.
having like this ability to, just put something in the microwave for a few minutes and have it cooked or warmed up was
Exactly. How quickly did
amazing.
it, or how long did it take for mankind to, get to from fire to like the wheel? And how long did it take to get from the wheel to the car? And then how long did it take to get from like the car to everything else? The digital age, it's a wild thing to think about.
It is. Well, Sophie, those are pretty much the questions I had, but is there something you would like to include that we didn't talk about?
Well, yes, actually, I've got two things. I'll try to articulate them. So with the James Webb telescope, are we able to get a view into basically like the a black hole, at least to understand more about what's on the other side of it? And is it like dimensional? Like if a black hole was real and you got close enough to it, would it suck you out on a different like side of time?
Well, I think we should be honest that we don't know what we don't know. And we probably don't know a lot about that. But the general thought right now is that everything in the black hole gets crushed, and like the gravity is so you know so much that it bends the space around it so much that the light can't get out. But as things go into the black hole, not all that energy gets absorbed immediately. And so you're able to see some of the light, the
Hmm.
radiation, and other things as things actually get absorbed by the black hole. And then, of course, it actually bends a space. And so the light waves that are traveling around the black hole get bent in different ways. So we can see the effect of that. But what's really exciting is I don't know, 7, 8 years ago, discovering, actually detecting gravity waves from black holes colliding together, and actually those ripples of having like, affecting gravity and traveling through
Wow.
space. So that's,
Would that have an effect on different like gravitational poles, like the axes that the planets sit on? If it,
well, they have to. So they have this device called LIGO. I forget, it's like Laser Interferometer Gravity Observatory or something like that.
hmm,
But they had to have two of them in different parts of the world because they're like so sensitive that they even pick up the guy mowing the lawn on it. So they had to do a lot of work to compare the readings from each other to kind of filter out all of the local noise and actually get that. So it's very minor effects, like um, it has to be huge objects right now,
yeah.
and it's a very, very, very small effect.
I wonder if they'll be writing about that in 100 years.
Yeah, it could be amazing. Maybe we could figure out some way to use it for communication too. It just
Yeah. Oh gosh, that just reminds me, quick last thing. I know that during the pandemic, we had, researchers here on Earth that were measuring like sound waves within the Earth.
oh,
Um, Yeah, because all of the shipping kind of slowed down during the pandemic, everything stopped. So we were able to predict through the sound waves, like within the ocean that they were measuring, better natural disasters, like how, more accurately. So yeah, that's just a side note. But thank you so much for talking with me. And I'm always interested in this kind of stuff. You know, Neil deGrasse Tyson will be at the Long Center here in Austin on April 4th.
Wow. Well, if you get a moment, maybe you could ask him. He'd be willing to do an interview too.
Yeah, I will. If I get to it, I will. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Sophie. And I know you're probably zoomed out at this point, so I really appreciate you hanging on there.
Yeah, sure thing. I always look forward to your minute. Thanks a lot.
Okay. Well, have a good night.
You too. Bye bye.
Bye bye.